Hello, I'm back. So I'm going to talk about a word that um, we're not used to associating with something good: selfishness, being selfish. And I would actually say that selfishness is actually a good thing. And um, I'm talking about selfishness where you're choosing yourself first in a situation where somebody is expecting something of you, and something that you don't want to do. Now, there is selfishness where, let's say, a person, no matter the circumstances, is always choosing to have their way, and they want their way always. That is selfishness, because then they just literally have no regard for the partner. And usually in situations like that, the partner is the one that's giving a lot, and the selfish person is the one that's taking and taking and taking. So there's no equal exchange. And that's a big one. I'm glad that came up. Equal exchange. There's always has to be equal exchange in any situations. Um, it it's not a good thing when one party gives, and the other one just takes. And you see that a lot in relationships these days. You see that a lot in families. You see that a lot in interactions um, among people. Is that one party usually gives, and the other one usually takes. That is selfishness on the one that takes. Now, the one that gives needs to be selfish, and that's the selfish that I want to talk about. And what that means is, in any situation where something is expected of you, an action or something, you really need to be very honest with yourself and say, do I want to do that or not? And it can be anything. It can be pertaining to food, like where do you want to go eat, what do you want to do, instead of saying, oh, it's okay, I'm good. Or you have to say, what do you want? What do you want? Be selfish and say, I want this. Let's say you always go this place, and you know you don't want to anymore, because eventually there comes a point where you're like, I don't want to do that anymore. And you just have to put your foot down calmly and just say, I don't want that. I want this. That's being selfish in a good way. Another idea of selfishness is when you always put yourself first. Especially, I'm talking to the ones of you who have always been overlooking your own desires for the sake of others people, for the sake of getting their love, acceptance, and all of that. It can be bosses, it can be friends, co-workers, lovers, parents. Anytime you sacrifice your own wants and needs for the sake of the group, for the sake of the partner, for the sake of the others, you were not selfish. You did not love yourself. Because in my case, when I talk about selfishness, I talk about self-love. So, what does that mean? That means that you always put your own desires, your wants, likes and dislikes first. And if something comes up and you ask yourself, do I want to do this? And you know you don't want to, then you say no. It can be anything. It can be pertaining to food. It can be pertaining to clothes, what you're wearing, what somebody expects you to wear, what you want to, where do you want to go? Do you want to go to bed late or early? Do you want to be around people who smoke or not? Do you want to watch this movie? You need to be completely brutally honest with yourself and say, do I want to do this? Do I want to sit here and watch this show even though I'm not interested in it? Because sometimes, I mean, you can find good in everything, but sometimes you're just not connecting with something, and that's okay. You just literally does not grab you. Then you just say, no, I don't want that. And you go do something else. And you go, that's selfishness. With your parents, if they expect you to do this for them, to call them every day, to check on them every day, to tell them everything. If you don't want to, if you really don't feel like calling them every day, then don't. And I guarantee you, the first reaction you're going to get is not going to be pleasant. They're going to be very upset because they're used to you being a certain way for all your life. They're used to getting this particular version of you. And now you're giving them a different version, a version that says, you know what? I love myself, and today I don't want to do this. So they're probably going to react not the most pleasant way. They're going to start threatening. They're going to start putting guilt on you. So it's up to you to just stay put calmly and say, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And I'm okay with your reaction. I'm okay with you being mad at me. I'm okay with you not replying to my messages or going quiet, because that's what we do when we're not happy with something. We just go quiet. We just go quiet and we pout. It drives me nuts, especially when adults do that, because I'm a very direct person. I'm a straight shooter. So I'm all about, let's get it on the table. What do you like? What you don't like? So, even if they give you the silent treatment, your boyfriend gives you the silent treatment, or the girlfriend, just because you chose yourself and you were selfish, rightfully so. So, this is my point. Always put your interests first, especially if you've been doing a lot, even though you didn't want to do it. I'm talking to you guys, not the ones that are always selfish and just always take, and it's all about them. No, those guys, that's a different message. But for the ones that are always giving, for the ones that are always making it happen for others at their own expense, you need to be selfish. You need to say, do I want to do this or not? In every moment, ask yourself, do I want to do this or not? And if the answer is no, then you calmly look at the person in the eye and say, I don't want to do it. I love you, but I don't want to do it. Not today. Maybe tomorrow, but not today. And that's it. And you start doing that. You start drawing boundaries. You start choosing yourself, and you see, things are going to shift. People's relationship to you are going to shift. Their attitude to you is going to shift. They're either going to, be upset and say, well, I don't want you anymore because you're not doing what I want. Well, then you don't want them to begin with, because all your life you're going to be doing that. Or they're going to be like, oh, okay, well, tell me what you like. Tell me what you want to do, and let's do it together. So always choose you. Put yourself first. Be selfish. Okay? All right. I love you guys. Until next time.